The topic I will be talking about today is suicide, causes and consequences. Death by suicide is the 12th leading cause of death in the United States today. In 2020, 45,900 people died from suicide. And suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 10 to 14 and ages 25 to 34. The third leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 15 to 24, and the fourth leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 35 and 44. On this chart, you can see up here at the top, it shows ages, age groups. And on this column that goes downwards, it's a list of the causes of death in the United States by rank. Column number 1 shows the number 1 cause of death in the United States. And down here, as we get to number 12, in all age groups, the leading cause of death in the United States is suicide. This information was taken from the CDC website. In 2020, there were 45,979 cases of suicide deaths. This is the number recorded. There are probably more out there that was not documented as suicide. If you are not concerned, you should be. This is an alarming number of deaths by suicide. On this chart, it shows the number of adults in 2020 who were aged 18 or older reporting having serious thoughts of suicide, and 1.2 million adults attempted suicide. In 2020, the prevalence of suicidal thoughts among adults is on this chart. You can see the prevalence of suicidal thoughts among adults, showing different age groups and demographics. This chart shows the suicide rates by age group and by gender. As you can see on this chart, the prevalence of suicide rates in men is much higher than the suicide rates in women. So why do people commit suicide? Why is suicide the 12th most prevalent cause of death in 2020? I don't have these statistics for 2021 or 2022. So I am using the statistics from 2020. For the most part, no one wants to die. Sometimes an individual may feel that suicide is the only option for a number of reasons. A person who attempts or thinks about suicide is not mentally healthy or sound. Some reasons for suicide might be, number 1, sickness, illness, or health-related problems. Number 2, mental illness, such as depression, among others. Number 3, death or loss of a loved one. Number 4, loss of oneself through breakups, materialistic monetary loss, etc. Number 5, spiritual imbalances. And this can be the underlying reason for numbers 1 through 4 as well. Signs or suicidal thoughts include this list. This information was taken from the Mayo Clinic website. The first one includes when someone is talking about suicide. For example, they might be making statements such as, "I'm going to kill myself. I wish I was dead." Or, "I wish I hadn't been born." These are examples of things people might say when they've thought about suicide or they are considering suicide. The next item includes getting the means to take your own life, such as buying a gun or stockpiling pills. So somebody who has thought about suicide might do something like this. Also, withdrawing from social contact and wanting to be left alone. People who are seriously thinking about suicide, they will not have the desire to interact with other people. They will want to be alone. And sometimes this is because they have lost interest in human interactions. They are in their own little bubble. Also, having mood swings, such as being emotionally high one day and deeply discouraged the next. Next, being preoccupied with death, dying, or violence. Also, feeling trapped or hopeless about a situation. These are signs that somebody might be having suicidal thoughts. This next list includes increasing use of alcohol or drugs, changing normal routine, including eating or sleeping patterns, doing risky or self-destructive things, such as using drugs or driving recklessly, giving away belongings, or getting affairs in order when there's no other logical explanation for doing this. Saying goodbye to people as if they won't see them or be seen again. Developing personality changes or being severely anxious or agitated, particularly when experiencing some of the warning signs listed above. Suicide warning signs or suicidal thoughts include: warning signs aren't always obvious, and they may vary from person to person. Some people make their intentions clear, while others keep suicidal thoughts and feelings a secret. So it's hard to really know when somebody is seriously thinking about suicide, attempting suicide, because not everybody responds the same way. Not everybody talks about their intentions, and not everybody hides their intentions. When to see a doctor if you're having suicidal thoughts. If you're feeling suicidal, but you aren't immediately thinking of hurting yourself, reach out to a close friend or loved one. Even though it may be hard to talk about your feelings, contact a minister, spiritual leader, or someone in your faith community. Call a suicide hotline. Dial 988. This is a national number to dial for suicide hotline. Make an appointment with your doctor, other healthcare provider, or a mental health professional. Suicidal thinking doesn't get better on its own. Please get help. This information was taken from the Mayo Clinic website. Now I will talk about the spiritual perspective in regards to suicide. Mental wellness is important for all of us. However, when you are not spiritually intact or well, you become vulnerable. Being spiritually vulnerable can mean a few things. You can experience depression, mental challenges, mental wellness issues, and physical wellness issues. But if you do not seek help, then your spiritual wellness can become greatly affected. Sorry for the typo there. Your spiritual health can start to fail, causing your vibrational frequencies to sink and submerge to unhealthy frequencies. At this point, your energetic field is susceptible to invasion by outside entities and outside energetic takeovers. And of course, these entities and energetic takeovers are done by negative outside spirits. This can lead to physical health issues, clinical depression, and/or spiritual possessions. Under these circumstances, you will have less power and control over your own thoughts, moods, emotions, and mindset. The presence of other energetic vibrations, often in the form of spiritual attachments, will influence and affect your mental states of existence. You will have less to little control over your own thoughts, emotions, intentions, and the desire to live or die. Spiritual attachments will always pull you in the direction of harm to your physical and mental states of wellness. Over time, it can consume you and mislead you to think about suicide and or attempt suicide. Suicide carries a curse. If someone in your family has committed suicide in the past and the soul of the deceased individual was never freed, then it can come back as a curse to future generations. This doesn't have to be recent. It can go back many generations in history. The unhealed trauma escalates into a curse and will select a member of the family line who is more vulnerable, not as spiritually intact, and is at a spiritual low to take as victim. In Hmong, we call this Hu or V. This is the lingering energetic vibrations left from the death. It will continue to haunt and harm future families and generations unless there is a ritual performed to end the curse. The spirit of the last victim becomes an angry, energetic spirit and will seek to find someone else from the family line to replace his or her to relieve his or her distress in order to be set free. In addition, if you bear witness to a suicide, then you can become victim to the curse that bled from the suicide to which you witnessed. This is because the taking of any human life comes with great energetic release. And this energetic release is often preoccupied with dark energetic vibrations. It's usually always negative. A ritual must be performed to release you from the event. Not doing so can cause harm to you physically or mentally in the form of compromised health and wellness. Never look at a suicide victim or someone who is dying from a gruesome death. Never look at their eyes. Doing this can lead your soul to Ju because the dying person can take parts of your soul essence with it. If you are not a shaman, it may be hard for you to recognize and understand the spiritual causations involved in mental wellness compromises and or the onset of suicidal tendencies. Please seek professional medical opinion in regards to any mental wellness issues. However, you should also seek the support and advice from a minister, spiritual leader, or someone in your faith community. It is so important to seek spiritual healing for your overall mental health wellness because suicide can occur as a generational curse. It is important for families to do some research into their family history. Sometimes it is not that you have a history of suicide, but an ancestor or relative may have experienced one of the following circumstances. Number 1, die an unjust death, such as murder, suicide, die in combat or war, accidental death, die in cold blood, poisoned. Number 2, improper burial or no burial, resulting in a lost spirit. Number 3, disruption to an ancestor's grave. These situations can create lingering angry spirits who return to seek justice or help from those who are still living. Sometimes these lingering spiritual curses hover over the living because it cannot transcend past the moment and circumstances to which it was created. It seeks to be free, to survive, and to move on. but it does not have the tools or vibrations needed to do so. These energetic vibrations or angry spiritual blends, curses, are very low vibrational. They cannot rise or move past the location and energetic field where they have fallen. But yes, they are able to return to seek refuge and redemption from family lines because they are spiritually connected to those who are still living by spiritual blood ties. These kinds of curses need to be lifted and removed from circulation in order for future generations to be free of it. The curse must be removed through proper rituals and healing paths. These types of curses recycle from time to time. It does not strike in a set time frame. The curse recycles after a victim is taken. The soul of the new victim becomes entangled in creating the curse and therefore perpetuates it even after the old soul is released. Some New Age shamans can do spiritual healing rituals to release these angry spiritual spirits or curses so that it has a chance to be free from the incident which caused its death. Understand that not all shamans have this ability to release curses, angry spirits, or to revive souls from their circumstances. While it is important to have these curses be removed, it is just as important to get the appropriate help from the appropriate healers. If you have a family history of mental illness or suicide, please seek help for those who may be experiencing mental illness. These situations need to be taken seriously to avoid any more misfortunes to your family. These kinds of healing rituals are costly because they are often also risky for the shaman to engage in. Therefore, it is important to find shamans who have experience and good track record in doing this kind of work. Otherwise, you will end up losing a lot of money for a healing that has no efficacy. If you have been witness to a suicide, murder, accidental death, or other gruesome and unjust death, then it is important for you to seek spiritual healing for yourself. Being a witness to such an event pulls your spirit down with the individual who lost their life. It leaves your spiritual side vulnerable, which can lead to health and wellness issues for you in the future. There have been people who later committed suicide themselves after having witnessed the death of others by suicide. There have been people who experienced mental health, wellness issues, or became suicidal as well. While mental wellness issues can occur independent of what I've discussed, it is not unusual for someone to become mentally disturbed, unstable, or depressed after having witnessed a suicide. The hue from the incident will circulate and bring down others with it. This is not because the spirit is evil, but more because the spirit is at a loss in attempting to survive itself. It must seek energy and redemption from the living in order to have a chance to be free. Please do not take mental health and wellness issues lightly. Mental illness can happen to anyone. How it affects you all depends on your vulnerability and vibrational level. Not everyone will respond exactly the same because not everyone is at the same vibrational frequency. Please protect yourself and your loved ones. Know the signs and understand possible causations of mental illness so that you may possibly help someone who is struggling with depression or other mental wellness issues. Please do not believe depression or other wellness issues will go away on its own. Please know that suicidal thoughts are not normal and that spiritual wellness will lead to mental wellness for you. Prevention is key. Thank you for watching. Please follow me for future videos by clicking subscribe button. You can also follow me on Facebook at ShamanTalk. May you be well in body, mind, and spirit.